Hey everyone, it's me, Skull Kid Zero. Um, I've been doing professional game mastering for a while, and I thought of something different. A video maybe behind the scenes of what it kind of looks like. So here I am. I'm in the free software online that you can use. Anyone can use. Roll 20. I'm going to show you a little bit of what I've been working on currently for a one-shot Dungeons and Pokemon. Kind of how I've incorporated or made these custom ideas in my head, and kind of share that with you guys. Currently, what I'm showing you right now is one of the battle maps I'll be running today for our one shot. It is a pagoda. As you remember in Pokemon, it was a gold and silver and crystal. There is a town where three evolutions um, end up going into this tower that was burning for 3 days, trying to help quell the flames. The tower burns down, and the three Pokemon apparently perish. Huo shows up, resurrects these three Pokemon, and supposedly these are the three Pokemon that turned into Suicune, Entei, and Raikou. They don't actually say that explicitly, but it kind of explains the origin of these three magical beasts and how they've come about. And so they rebuilt the bell tower. And so my adventure is going to be based off the party joining or going back to this adventure, not going back to it, but going to the bell tower and having their own adventure in it. And so I've got multiple layers here. You can see I put there's a whole bunch of other stuff in here. So what I do normally is I'll use a different game module so I can already have stuff preloaded in the game. Okay, so things like, the reason why I say that is, if I go to my creatures here on the right, and you'll see I've used the Scarlet Citadel as a good background, wonderful setup, but it has all these pregens, it has all this other stuff in it, just so I could have things ready. I also have monsters at the up and ready. So if I really need to throw something in there and really keep people on their toes, or need a quick creature and have it already pre-programmed, having a module already preloaded, even if I don't use it at all, I don't even need it. The fact that it's there and I have the accessibility for it is really a game changer. Let me see. So here's the rooftop. This is the inside. So this is based off a Japanese feudal map pack in Roll 20 in their marketplace. And I'm repurposing it to give it life as the bell tower from Pokemon. So here's my main title screen, which I have my players. This is what they look at, and you can see all the evolutions. So all of them get to choose one of the evolutions as their partner Pokemon. Now you're probably wondering, how am I pulling this off in D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, coming together of Pokemon? The way I'm doing it is that the Pokemon are actually magical familiars that are brought about by being cast from a magical focus or talisman, and that's how you bring them back. If they die, they're a familiar. They puff into magical dust. You then have to spend the time afterwards ritual casting to bring them back. Now, I have gone through if whether or not to have permadeath or have things a little more serious for Pokemon, but uh, when I was recruited or hired for this one shot, the request was that permadeath wouldn't be a thing, so that way it wouldn't be too dark. Trying to keep things light and airy and fun, and so that was my workaround to make that work. Let me show you a little bit of some of the stats I put into these creatures. So the first one I did was Sylveon. And so what I went in here, I had to go in, hit add, create a character sheet, then select NPC. Once you select NPC, this is the photo I set up. This is the token I set up, the art. I just found some art online, went into a token generator that it's online, and put it through there, uploaded it through Roll 20, through their image area, and then tagged it and assorted, and then assigned it health in this segment where that cog is, health, AC, put its nameplate, get it all set up, then have it saved underneath its character sheet. So that way, whenever I want to put a new one, I can literally go, all right, we're now at the rooftop or whatever. Sylveon, go. Boom, I can drag and drop it. It's got everything set for me. It's good to go. I don't have to worry about it. But anyways, let me go into some of the creativity part of how I made the Pokemon. I'm going to be making some more today, but just want to give you a rundown. So here's Sylveon. Sylveon is Eevee as a fairy form, very Sailor Moon-esque. Knows Bite, which most of the evolutions learn Bite, Swift, and Moonbeam, and Baby Doll Eyes, and Keen Senses. So I'm thinking of what moves does a fairy type that Sylveon is that D&D has that work well with it. How can I implement it? How can I make it flesh it out? Using the stats based off Sylveon. So if I went here, I'll pull up Google and just go Sylveon Pokemon. It's probably the first thing. It'll pull up the free Wikipedia Bulbapedia page. So there's Sylveon, all the data for Sylveon. And then you scroll down, it'll be like, hey, this is Sylveon's overall stats. So I'm like, okay, so Sylveon's not the fastest of the evolutions, but good special defense, good special attack, and decent health pool. So basically, what I've done is I've made an average of where the health pool should be about. Our players are level 1 starting, so these Pokemon are a lot stronger than them, but they have to they follow their commands. They're a magical familiar, an extension of themselves, and they do combined attacks. Now, I do certain things here. I have lowered the damage can be increased for higher levels, so you can change the D10s to 3D10s to 4D10s to increasing those damage numbers, but giving each one attack options as well as flare ups. What I mean by flare ups is if you do an attack and something special happens, like you got a crit, let's have it do something different. Let's make it so Sylveon's like, instead of just casting Swift, a giant beam of moon energy comes out. And so you'll see that I said that this attack occurs on a natural crit instead of casting Swift. Because Pokemon are not like our player characters. They're a monster class, more or less, a pocket monster class. And I want them to do things that stand out a little bit more than what would normally happen with a player class. But you also have these out of combat situations too. What can Sylveon do that other ones? It's so cute. It's adorable. It's all dressed in ribbons. It's going to use its little cute eyeballs and try to charm people. Makes sense. Um, got keen senses. They are animal-like. So smelling and hearing is better than us as a player race. So that's Sylveon. Let's go to Umbreon. Here's Umbreon. Umbreon's got a pretty good defense. And like I said before, I check the stats. I go through the Pokemon's move base too, and kind of like where I would see them. Umbreon has the ability to see really good in dark. Umbreon's born in darkness. It should have that ability. Also, having Dark Pulse is one of its moves. I've repurposed Dark Pulse and put tendrils on it. Hadar's tendrils as the skill that what Dark Pulse would be. Modify it a bit so it feels more impactful when it happens. Snarl, which is an attack that Umbreon does as well, and that way also keeping in mind the amount of D8 or amount of D6s. What's the average damage? If you can average the damage out, so I go 1D8. I just think in my head that's 4 damage average, right? Usually it's a little higher because you always get a 1. I always think about 4. It's usually, but the average is like a 4.5 or something like that. There's actually a certain decimal to it, but not to get too crazy math. I'm thinking about 4. So if I know all of my other evolutions are around that bracket, and it says up to 2 targets, so that means extra times it by 2, so it's about 8. That means that should tell me what my second attack should more or less be around for all of them. So that way it's balanced. At least all of them feel relatively strong and impactful, but not so much where it's like, oh, why didn't I pick Jolteon? It's the best. Why didn't I pick Vaporeon? It's way stronger than all the others. I want them all to feel strong in their own right, and this is how I accomplish that by looking at the numbers and being like, okay, this is really good for this, but it's not so good for that. But let's give it, something else where it can make up for that. And each of these kind of have that feel. So here's Umbreon. Here's Espeon. Espeon has one of the lower armor class. I'm sorry, health pools, but also not as is very fast. It's fast, but very impactful. Um, Espeon are probably made overpowered just because of the fact telekinesis. But then again, a psychic Pokemon, you've always seen them pick people up, bend spoons. They have this ability. Now, I make it so it doesn't occur all the time. It has something has to occur to cause it, and also giving it some other out of character, out of combat abilities. This is not perfect. This is not a perfect science of making these things or creating these creatures. There may be one that does outshine the others, and that's my job as a game master, dungeon master, to go in there and afterwards be like, okay, I need to tweak this. I apologize. Be honest with your players. Talk to your players. Get criticisms. Be like, hey, yeah, that was messed up. That's my bad. I'll fix it. Let's update it. And we'll keep going. So that was Espeon. Espeon's got a lot of psychic abilities, confusion, Psybeam, all that jazz. Next, we're going to go to Glaceon. Glaceon's going to have a lot of ice spells, which Dungeons& and Dragons has a good assortment of. Sleet Storm, perfect example. Blizzard, Ice Beam and Frostfang. And also, I give it favorite terrain Snow. which is a ranger skill. I figured, where's Glacial feel most at home at? Well, snow. Um, Now, do I do that through all of them? No, not necessarily, because there may not be that example of a terrain that works for them. Um, but also, I want each one to be feel a little different too. So Glaceon, really strong, good armor class, low health pool though, low health pool. So let's see here. Then we got Leafeon. So I got Bite, Razor Leaf, Thorn Whip, Leaf Blade, Plant Growth. Plant Growth, great spell in D&D. Thorn Whip is another D&D spell. These two kind of Thorn Whip kind of blends into Vine Whip, but getting a little extra damage in there, and just kind of giving them more viable options of what the player can choose for their Pokemon to do in and out of combat. Always want to try to give them something they can do in combat and something they can do out of combat. After Leafeon, here is Jolteon, my childhood favorite. Thunderfang, Thundershock, Zapcan. Not a whole lot here because they're very strong attacks. And they also can paralyze, which is a very strong condition to inflict in Dungeons and Dragons. So you really don't need a whole lot with that. But then you get Thermaturgy, which has a lot of multiple options. Now, what I did with Thermaturgy is I took out anything that was not thunder or sound based, like blowing out flames from across the room or something. That's not sound based. That's just the ability of putting flames out or messing with flames. Jolteon wouldn't have that ability. I could see Flareon maybe having that, but not Jolteon. So I took out some of the things in there that if you had Thermaturgy in D&D that you would have, and I just kind of made it, customized it for Jolteon. Uh, Next one, Vaporeon. So Vaporeon's not going to have a whole lot either. Maybe because Bite, Water Gun doesn't have a whole lot of difference. So what you do to compensate for the lack of conditions is you pump up that damage. Instead of you getting a condition on you, you're going to get more damage. I want to make it so when you finally do get that Hydro Pump or you do that Hydro Pump, it's going to do a mess ton of damage. Create or destroy water out of combat, purified food or drink, so purifying water makes sense for a Vaporeon, as they're able to manipulate water probably better than others. After Vaporeon is Flareon, Fire Fang, Fire Spin, and Fire Blitz. How cool, right? So then you have Lava Walk too. So it's not favorite terrain, but I'm giving it the ability to walk on lava and to run over flames. It's a fire creature. Also, it gets Scary Face, so it grants once per long rest an advantage on an intimidation check. Flareon's kind of got that scary edge to it. After Flareon is our favorite, of course, want to start all of this, Eevee. And here's Eevee. Eevee seems basic, right? But I've given Eevee more of a helping nature. It's going to help you out with helping hand, give you advantage, give any player advantage once per long or short rest. Baton Pass, it can give you the ability to disengage once per long or short rest. Or it's going to be able to bite. Quick Attack is probably its staple here. And then Copycat, which is a very strong ability if used properly. Once per long or short rest, you can use the move that happened immediately before Eevee. You can tell Eevee to Copycat and hold the action and then wait for your opponent to use a move or wait for Jolteon or one of your friends to use a move and copy that move to do it as soon as it occurs. That way, Eevee gets to use all of the moves. Pretty rad. But that's some of the stuff I've been working on. I'm going to go in here, add some more characters. I'm just going to quickly show you guys. This is where we left off after our our session 0. I went a little longer than I should have, but I enjoyed it. They had fun. Probably pick up here today. I'm going to be updating their tokens, making sure they look all pretty because they got all these fancy art pieces. But just to show you, and then all the wolves, animated wolves. By Devin Knight, of course. Look him up if you're on Roll20. Devin Knight and his animated tokens are absolutely gorgeous, and the people who do that work all deserve the credit for those nice, beautiful tokens. And this is just a cavern map system as well that was on Roll20 that I'm using. Treasure chest here, a kitchen table, and then it's sleeping, and all these other things. But Roll20 is a fantastic tool. If you're not using it, you should be using it if you're doing online games. I can literally cause effects to come out of the ground. I can cause missiles of frost. I mean, it's just something you'll never once you get online and online gaming, you can literally do whatever. It has commands, inputs. I will say there are some times where I find myself fighting with Roll20. Sometimes the tokens don't always place, or there's too much. It seems like sometimes it struggles. Um, but overall, I usually wrangle it to get it to work. The character manager, my players did have a problem recently in regards to not being able to set the proper background. They can only do acolyte, but I was able to go in there and select anything. I'm just very, yeah, it's very odd that sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And that's just the nature with any software. Roll20 is a wonderful free tool. How can you complain about something that's free and beautiful like Roll20? Everyone should be using it if you're playing tabletop games, other than, if you have friends come over to your house. But yeah, I have a lot of surprises in store for my group today. Um, they won't see this video till after the adventure, so that's fine. Um, I'm planning for there to be in the tower itself, them to have some engagements along the way. Maybe fight a trainer or two. Maybe fight some wild Pokemon. Maybe even just like I said, the other part they're in this cave. They're fighting goblins, which are D&D players. And then they were mixing in Pokemon, so they have that utility. So maybe put some Dungeons and Dragons tokens in there. Like I said, because I have that uploaded, I could literally drag and drop from here, or I could go to my tool chest, go to my marketplace. As you can see, I got a mess ton. And my favorite, like I said, are those animated bundles from Devin Knight and his group. Animated goblins, animated undead, and these tokens are just absolutely gorgeous, and they move. Here, I'll show you guys a moving one. See, like there's one. This flame dragon looks rad. Um, Maybe that's what I'll put for Huo. I don't know. But I'm going to set up a puzzle for them to figure out. Probably something that has to do with the legend of the bell tower, and kind of replicating that somewhat on some type of tapestry or a wall where they have to put the right order in place. And in the room, there's hints. I'm trying to keep, you want to keep puzzles very simple, just because no one wants to spend 4 hours on a puzzle. This isn't Sudoku. This is D&D. I want to make challenging puzzles, but they don't. Doesn't mean they have to be hard. A challenging puzzle can still be easy. Sometimes something that we think is easy for us is a lot harder when explaining it in the in the world of a game. So even something as simple as a puzzle box and having like a square, a triangle, and a circle. Well, if you have to have them go around and find those pieces before they can use the puzzle box, that makes it a lot more increasingly difficult because maybe they need to do something else by then. Um, One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to have Team Rocket show up, and they're going to do a terrorist attack pretty much. They're going to plant a bomb on the bell tower, as is the festival for Huo's return, supposedly, as they celebrate. But, of course, Huo never shows up unless some magical intervention or something occurs. It's a random chance. But Team Rocket, they like to sow discord. They're there to be the bad guys, and they do a good job of it. So why not plant a bomb and then capture everyone's Pokemon? Um, yeah. I mean, the bell tower is a symbol of hope, and Team Rocket tells you to prepare for devastation. So we're gonna crank it up a notch. Probably put a bomb or some sort of device, or maybe just explosives on the tower as they're planning to blow it up during the fireworks show that they have during the festival, and that'll be the group's main arc. Then afterwards, what's kind of happens is this is a birthday party. The party will return back home. Once they return home, well, not when after after they stop the bell tower, they'll celebrate the festival and celebrate the birthday, where they found out that Team Rocket delivered a package of Gigantamax inside that. Well, in the area to try to influence the Pokemon. The Gigantamax is those molecules from the Galar region that cause Pokemon to go crazy large, and they're going to have to fight a giant Alcremie, which is a um, cake Pokemon, giant cake Pokemon, and that'll be the final battle. That was a personal request, and so I'm gonna make it happen for the birthday boy. But yeah, I figured this was a kind of a snapshot or a back view of what goes on in the background between games when I'm preparing games to get set up. Also, probably gonna put some traps in here Like I said, try to keep things simple. You want things a little complicated, but not too much because you want to be leave room for improvisation. So much of Dungeons and Dragons is improv, and you want to be able to give room for yourself and your players to have those shenanigans of that occurring. And always make sure to put player agency first. And I think that's going to end this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care and have a wonderful day. And thanks for tuning in. Bye.